I have no idea, Dave, what could have... Turn your mic on it.
I got it.
You're a singer. You should know how to put that phallic thing near your mouth.
Well, you know.
I'm just saying. Welcome to the DAG Show. I'm here with Dave Mikulskis. And I'm very happy to be here. In spite, we are like in the tightest quarters you could imagine.
So DAG did it all right. He came. He brought alcohol. He brought flowers for my wife.
Yeah.
And he played with the dog.
The dog loves me. I'm stealing the dog.
For sure.
The dog is... I'm stealing the dog. I love that dog.
And then chaos ensued.
And then
but we had no idea.
We didn't. And we couldn't figure out what the heck was going wrong. And it turned out it was just a cable. Notice how I got my feet up on your bench. You're going to play some music tonight.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about some things. So we're both so wound up right now. It's so aggravating. We're an hour behind which I actually kind of in my mind knew was probably going to happen. But thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
This is great. Yeah. So let's get to talking. Let's get to talking about what you got rocking and rolling. First of all, Hi-Fi.
Yep.
High
Infidelity. We'll get the full name. Yeah.
For High Infidelity is got an original album coming out.
That's right. We're working on it now. We've got actually 3 songs done. They're not mastered yet, but they're completely recorded.
They're amazing.
They're mixed. Thank you. Yeah.
Do you want to share them?
Yeah, we're going to play some. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Cool. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we're going to share. We're going to share. Actually, we're going to share 4.
We're going to share 4. Okay.
Well, that's great. It's the 4th one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great. It's really. Here's the thing that you and I have talked about, and I talk about with a lot of other musicians that are much older than me, like yourself. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm the oldest one in the room.
In the house.
On the block. What are you kidding?
No, not on the block. No.
But what's really fantastic about music today, and you and I have talked about this, there's been this juxtaposition. I'm really interested in your opinion on this, and we're going to get to it, is, you go back 25 years, and for every tribute band, there were 20 freaking original bands. And now there's 20 tribute bands to every original band.
That's correct. And the original bands have gone the way of the dodo.
Right.
Or the dinosaur.
Right.
They just don't exist. And we're still not going to be strictly an original band, clearly, because we've sort of carved a niche in the cover band market, but what we thought is that there's other bands that are doing original material, but maybe not doing the original material and cover music successfully together. Maybe there's one, and we know who that is. Richie's band.
Richie, yeah. Seventh Heaven.
So they
just put it all in a medley, and it's good.
That's right. but so they've been able to cultivate that sort of original cover. They balance it out. So we're gonna do that as well. We want people to come to have a reason to come to our show more than anybody else's, because we're not playing cover music that nobody else is playing. That's for sure. So you can go see another band play the same covers, but not if you want to hear Coming Around Again.
If you want to hear
20 years.
You want to hear Dave sing.
Well, you can just watch me sing anytime, really. I mean, we play all the time. But yeah, I see your point. But that's not just the only thing. We've got, we want to have other reasons. We want to give people a reason to come and see us besides what they've already been coming to see us for. We've got Tyler, we've got Jim, Bobby, now Dave Urick.
Yeah, Dave Urick's in the band.
Amazing.
I mean, which is kind of funny to me. I just never saw, Dave Urick played with Thunder Road. I remember seeing him in my brother's band, and he's filling in, and it was pretty amazing. But I just, Dave's kind of one of those quirky guys. I just never saw him in, and he's played in other cover bands that do similar music, but then all of a sudden he's here in Hi-Fi, and wow, what a difference!
Right. Believe me, we didn't expect it that way, because I didn't know. First of all, I knew Dave was in 97.9. That's the last that I...
Right, 97.9.
But not for a year. I had no idea. So we had made a change, and Dave actually sent us a message. Said, "Hey, did you guys have auditions for your guitar playing position that was open?" And I said, "No." would you have auditioned? He said, well, sure. So we thought maybe we should talk to this guy because he's
he's Dave here.
Kind of a big name around
It's
here.
kind of a big deal. He's got a bunch of leather-bound books. Dave's
wrapped in mahogany.
By all the smells of
leather books,
mahogany and leather. Dave's a fantastic guitar player. He's a great guy.
Amazing, and he's a really great guy. More than anything.
Well, he's in really he's in this wonderful relationship now. He's been really, really happy for the last several years.
Yeah, with Sarah.
Too.
Yeah,
yeah. So
great.
Good for Dave.
Absolutely.
But when you think of the magic and you think of what bands put out, listen, there's a lot of great singers in Chicago, and but you have something really magical about you. And I'll tell you, through this COVID thing,
thank you.
It really was a big struggle for a lot of people, and music is one of those things that kind of it soothes the mind when the mind feels full.
Right.
You know what I
Sure,
mean?
yeah, absolutely.
And you did all these amazing videos with all these talented people, and I watched them all the time. And partially because they popped up on my feed, but the other reason was, after the first one, you go, wow. Who knew that you had... I had no idea you had such a broad spectrum of vocal ability with the songs that you're singing. Everything from country to, old, like, I don't even know if you would call them standards, just songs people would not expect. And you're singing them. What was that? Who's that woman that you were singing the song with?
Well, Lisa McClowry.
Oh, my God. It's absolutely ridiculously amazing.
She's great.
And you were great.
Thank
you
you.
were just as good as she was, and you guys nailed this thing. And it was, that's the kind of stuff. And Pino did a lot of this stuff too. But, and to see a lot of Chicago artists starting to really dig in, all of a sudden you realize you're not just the guy who sings Journey or Feels Like the First Time by Foreigner.
Right.
You have this great breadth of ability to sing. There are not a lot of people in Chicago who can sing like that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a gift that I never take for granted. I didn't do anything to earn it. It's all I can do is cultivate it, right? Just kind of make it better, and I work at it. But really, it's just I have no words to where it comes from, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I mean, it's amazing, and I was telling you earlier, the messages I got going, wow, Dave's so talented, Dave's the best singer ever, it's pretty cool to see.
It's
I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad my cable broke. Because we got to spend some extra quality speedy time together trying to solve the problem. But anyway, so let me ask you, what influenced you to get into music? You asked me this earlier. I'm going to ask you the question.
So I found out at an early age that I could sing like
a songbird.
Well, no, like
I'm a little birdie.
Whoever was on the radio, I was kind of able to not like exactly mimic, but I could take enough from what they have and kind of sound like them, just enough to make it to make people suspend their disbelief, right? But I was 5 years old and I was singing. Forgive me.
You had all this thought about suspending people's disbelief at 5?
Well, no, but
maybe you got superpowers.
As the years went on, I realized that's what it was that I knew that I was able to sound like whoever it was I was singing, Donny Osmond. Early on, because he was a kid and I was 5, but he was
10.
12, sounded like 8.
Right.
So I did that. I listened to. My mom would take me to the local Cruise and Music record store, which was like a head shop.
Mm-hmm.
She would let me go in there, just not go in the back where the drug paraphernalia was. Yeah.
Where they sold the bowls and one hitters.
And I would get 3 or 4 45s every week. Whatever was new, I'd run down the list, like the WLS survey that had the list.
Yeah.
Oh, I want number 12. I don't know what it was, but there was a lot of Elton John. There was a lot of Foreigner back in 1975, 76, Boston. Those were big ones. Kansas Carry On Wayward Son, and I would just take them home and I would just play them and I would sing to them by myself. Sometimes my mom would have friends over and I would get in front of them and sing, not lip sync. My sisters would be the side singers, the background singers.
Background singers. Yeah. Your backup crew.
That's right. And we would put on a show. So ever since then, I mean, really, I always say, when people ask me, how long have you been singing? I say, since I could speak. My dad would put me in front of a hi-fi. I have recordings of that as well, which is kind of fun. Of singing, put me in front of a hi-fi, you know, a regular.
Right, like a Zenith hi-fi.
Yeah, it was a Zenith. Yeah, it was a Motorola or a Zenith, one of them. And he would put out 2 microphones on the side, and I would just sing to them, and he would record it, and I would be in heaven. And then I joined a band when I was 15. I had to wait 10 years.
10 for what?
Well, I didn't know how to start a band. I wasn't like you. I wasn't a self-starter.
Oh, I was like, just find the prettiest kids in the neighborhood and give them, and we're gonna go buy an instrument.
Well, we talked about it in 8th grade. You know, it was always the you're gonna play the drums, you're gonna play the guitar, you're gonna sing. Of course, because I was in the boys' choir,
right,
in grade school, Catholic school, but nobody ever thought about playing the bass. Oh, you want to be in? You know, you're playing the bass. You know,
nobody wanted to play the bass.
Bass players never got really any credit. Nobody wanted to play.
No.
Play the drums, great. Play the guitar, great. You want to be the singer? Awesome. Who's going to be the bass player? Crickets. Nobody. But somebody inevitably had to be.
Well, and it's literally kind of the foundation of the band. So that and the drums.
It is, absolutely.
So the coolest guys... the coolest guy in the band is technically the bass player.
Absolutely, because he will
he
forego
keeps the groove.
He will forego any fame, any notoriety for
any women.
That's right.
He will forego it all.
Right. So yeah.
To just be the coolest guy on 4 strings.
So that's how it started. I didn't plan on it. A friend of mine, Dan, who I mentioned earlier, talked to you earlier, he knew these other 2 guys. Who were from the neighborhood that I grew up in, Brighton Park, and south side of Chicago. And he said, yeah, these guys, they're going to start a band. I said, yeah? Yeah, they want you to sing. I'm like, how do they know me? You know, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Did you see yourself as a good singer then, though? I mean, when you were young? I mean, you're 15 years old. How do you determine whether or not you can sing at 15 years old?
So I knew I could sing, but as I learned...
But I thought I could sing.
Right.
And I was wrong.
Well, I guess right, I guess. I felt like I could. I felt like I had enough people in my life tell me so, not just my mom. And I thought, well, I mean, I could carry a tune. I mean, I could hear it. But as I got older, I realized I didn't know shit. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
I didn't know what there was to learn about what we do. So singing isn't the only thing, but you know that I realized that the tone is important. Because back then it was probably just like, you know, like Krusty the Clown.
Black and black.
Right, exactly.
Hit the sack.
For all I know, there was a guy in our neighborhood. His name was Bob Schultz, and I'll never forget this. He's like, Dave's your singer? He's terrible. And I thought, well, maybe.
Where's Bob now?
Maybe I know Bob.
Where's Mr.
Call
Schultz?
in.
Call in. Number is 555-555555.
So yeah, he said he couldn't see. I said I couldn't sing, and I was like, maybe he's right. Maybe I started to believe it. But then as I got out there, I just I did my thing. I didn't really worry about anybody else. So and I'm here now.
What was the first band that you were in here in Chicago that was actually doing gigs?
Oh, not the first band that I was in, because there were.
No, the first band you were in. Well, what was the first band you were in?
I don't think we had a name, actually. I don't
That's going to look terrible on a marquee.
Nasty Habits.
Playing live tonight.
We were
nothing.
Nasty Habits at one point. Extra Cheese was the name of the band.
You named your band Extra Cheese?
Yeah, well, I was 18 years old and I was 300 pounds.
Excuse me. Wait, what?
Yes, I was.
You were 300 pounds?
296 actually. I didn't quite make it to the 3 clicks, but.
What? You were a big boy?
Yes, and I had a big afro. I have the pictures too.
You had an afro?
An afro.
Yo. You sure you
I'm
weren't
telling
trying to join a
this is
rap
South side
band?
of Chicago, right? So yeah, somebody called us extra cheese because I had a little extra.
So you decided to create a whole
Yeah,
marketing
just-
campaign around you being a fat ass?
We're gonna go with it.
I
We're
don't
gonna-
understand. I don't. That your band members were terrible people.
Well, we're still friendly. Everything's fine.
I'm just teasing, but boy, that's kind of funny.
I was telling my wife the other day that one of our first shows was a block party, and they passed the hat, and we got $24 and a joint.
That would go over well for a lot of bands.
It's plenty for a lot of bands, but I had this was a classic outfit, right?
Excuse me while I get
Def
comfortable.
Leppard's Pyromania just come out, so everybody's wearing a Union Jack, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was fat. I was 16, 15, 16, and maybe I was 275 at that point. So I went and got myself a Union Jack sleeveless shirt. Def Leppard is an extra large. Nobody that's extra large would fit in that shirt because extra large for, it's like a slim cut.
Right.
It was very tight.
Like my muscle shirt.
Yeah, like this one. Yes. And I had a red, white, and blue headband with the afro. This is at a block party.
I'm just trying to get a visual.
I had softball pants that were powder blue, and then the white and red stripe on the side to fit to the Union Jack. Yes, I was quite a sight. And then I wondered why they only gave us $24.
Right. No girls talk to you.
No.
No. Like,
No.
Man, this guy's got a wardrobe problem of epic proportions.
Yeah, he sings pretty good, but wow.
Wow. Yeah. I don't want to wash those
Except Bob
clothes.
Schultz didn't say that. Bob Schultz was like, he's terrible and he can't even dress.
That's so crazy. So through all this, so then you fight, you just keep singing. You just keep singing, keep singing. So you get out of weighty cheese or whatever. The
Extra
band
cheese,
name.
yeah.
Extra cheese.
We were Etc. with an X. Nasty Habits, Extra Cheese.
Isn't it funny how band names that we came up with, we thought we were so witty and creative, and it's like etc. with an X.
Right.
With an X. I was in a band. I had a band called Ozone because I had bad allergies. The fucking truth. I can't make this shit up.
Wow. That's amazing.
We were in a band called 45 RPM because all our ages added up to 45 and all our last names started with RPM. It was Revelini, Presco, and Mikey.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is a true story.
That's great. I love that.
So I understand, and you think back on these things, and it's like, yeah, well, the lead singer's a little chunky, so we'll call the band Extra Cheese. Then you get into the next band, and you go, the bass player's ugly and only got one arm. We're going to call it One-Armed Ugly.
Wait, there was a band called One Armed Bandit. Do you remember them?
Yes, I do.
They opened up for Rick Derringer at St. Rita High School where I went to school. It's like one arm. I mean, is that like a real thing? I mean, he had one arm. He had a hook. Didn't he have a hook? I'm not making fun of the guy, but it's true. He got the pick in his hook.
I'm literally laughing so
Unbelievable.
hard I'm crying. Well, tell me about the very first gig you ever played with a band.
So that would have been with the same
The
original.
very first gig,
very
though,
first
as a
gig-
teenager, whatever.
Like the block party was gig 2.
Okay.
The first one was at our drummer Darcy Kopak's house. 4th of July, they always had a big blowout on 4th of July. And so this year, 1982.
You can't say blow on the show.
You can't say blow.
You can't. You can say out, but you have to reverse them. Say out blow.
Out blow. Okay.
I don't know what that means.
So
Go ahead.
we decided that we were going to play at the block party. Or not at the block party, but at the 4th of July party.
Mhm.
We played in his garage where we always practiced. And he set himself up in the garage. The drummer, he was the drummer, so he set up in the middle of the garage. I don't know why. And the guitar player and the bass player was set up on front. And I decided that I was going to stand behind the drummer. I was so nervous. I was so, I don't know.
The
probably
lead singer
anxious.
stood behind.
I stood behind the drummer,
Okay.
paced back and forth behind him. It was great. And it had an afro, and I had a pack of smokes in my sleeve. Like I was James Dean from 1958 or 56. He was probably dead.
Or John Travolta from Grease.
Right, exactly. So anybody, name your poison, right? So I stood back there, and I don't know what I was thinking. I don't remember how the show went. I just remember that's what I remember the most. That was our first show. We got paid nothing.
Oh, well, that's kind of funny. If you're a band today and nobody's heard of you, you still get paid nothing.
Right?
You're an original band today.
That's what you get paid.
Doing anything, you get paid almost nothing.
$24 in a joint.
$24 in a joint that came out of a sweaty hat. That's what you get paid. Well, and see, that's the fun of rock and roll. At the time when I was so excited when I played, and I'm sure you were too. Just to go out and get the $100, it's like I'm accomplishing something. And you're not. No. you're just getting. You just by the end of the year, you're like, God, man, I worked an awful lot for $400.
That's exactly right. That's why I retired in 1995.
Which brings me to this thing. So now, I've been on both sides of it as a musician, and a label, and a studio, and representation. As an artist, where are you going with that? You're going to be singing in that in a little while. What are you doing? So
I'm just
focus.
moving.
Focus.
I'm focused.
So now you fast forward here. Now you've been in the music industry as long as I have, 40 years or whatever, from start to now, okay? So now how do you feel, first of all, how do you feel about the Chicago music scene?
Well, I've seen it change over, even in the last 20 years I've been in High Infidelity. I started in 2001, and it was even different then.
It changed after like 97, 98 significantly.
Well, because when I was a kid, before I was 21, I turned 21 in sometime at some point I turned 21. And but before that, I would look in the Illinois Entertainer and I would see bands like Off Broadway playing at PJ Flaherty's on the South Side. Original bands, Off Broadway, The Kind. Remember The Kind?
Oh, I loved Off Broadway and The Kind.
Right?
Great bands.
Gary Loizo's kids' band called Dreams. Remember, Gary Loizo was the producer for Styx.
Yes.
And he had a son. I forget his name. Oh, that's terrible. Anyway, but they had a band called Dreams, and they were an all original band, well, mostly original, and they would play on the South Side. So that eventually stopped. Right? No original bands were playing anymore, and bands like Beatlemania happened, and everybody thought, hey, we can emulate our favorite bands and just go out as a tribute to them, tributes to Led Zeppelin, to the Beatles. So I think it was twofold. I think the original music sort of petered out, and then these tribute bands came, and then the cover bands came along after that. Because you don't see many tribute bands these days. There's only a couple bands that can get true tributes, right? There's because of the breadth of material.
Well, I think now you see more tribute bands than you see anything. There's a tribute band all the way down to Captain and Tennille.
Well, I don't want to see them.
Muskrat Love.
Somebody said they were one-hit wonder, and they were not.
They were not. They had a lot of hits,
well,
actually.
They had at least 5.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of hits.
More than you or I've had, yeah.
Right.
So
go ahead.
I think that, but you think there's a lot of tribute bands now, like true tributes?
Yeah, there's, you got the rock brigades, but there's not just the rock brigade and the AC/DC tribute bands.
Right. Well, maybe
there's Van Halen,
Poison Crew,
Poison Crew,
right.
And there's more. It's like a 5-to-1 ratio of tribute bands to original bands. When you go back 25 years, it was the opposite.
Right.
Here.
Yep.
And here's something interesting that happened with Napster and all in Limelight.